I grew up in Neosho, Wisconsin, a small town of 575 people. My parents, when I was younger, both worked in a factory, taught us hard work when I was a young kid. My mom ended up owning the local grocery store, and I put a lot of time in there. My parents did a great job with the kids. They took us all around for wrestling. I had two older brothers that wrestled, and they spent a lot of their vacation time on me. I wrestled high school in Hartford, Wisconsin. I was on pretty good wrestling teams. My coach, Don Kreiser, did a great job. I won my first state championship as a freshman. I ended up being a three-time state champion. I lost my sophomore year. After high school, I went to the University of Wisconsin. I wrestled for the Badgers for a year. I redshirted my freshman year. And then at the end of my freshman year, I went to the U.S. Open, and I wrestled Greco at the U.S. Open, not freestyle, just because I was focusing on that. I ended up taking third place at the U.S. Open back in 1990, and that qualified me for the World Team Trials, and they were in Cedar Falls, Iowa, I believe, and ended up going out to the World Team Trials and winning the World Team Trials. And at that point, it was a tough decision. I wanted to wrestle at the World Championships because I earned the right through winning the World Team Trials, but at the same time, the NCAA wouldn't give me a semester off so I could train and compete at the World Championships. And I just told the coach, I said, I'm giving back my scholarship. Andy Ryan was that coach, and I said, you know what, the World Championships is more important than the NCAAs in my mind. I'm glad I had 1 year with the Badgers because I learned how to train. I learned that you're not going to feel great every day you're on the wrestling mat. You're beat up a lot from making weight a decent amount. That 1 year at Madison helped me become the wrestler that I became. In 1990, I remember my first couple international tournaments was a World Championship and a World Cup, and I remember I lost my first two matches at the Worlds. Then I went to the World Cup. I lost my first three matches at the World Cup that year, and I'm 0-5. Probably my worst losing streak of my entire wrestling career. When I'm 19 years old, I just gave up my scholarship to the University of Wisconsin, and I'm in my hotel room in Gothenburg, Sweden. And I remember just crying like a little baby. Can I go back and get my college scholarship? I knew the answer was no, but I was starting to have doubts. And at that point, I'm in my room crying, and Coach Dan Chandler comes and knocks on the door. And I open the door, and he goes, Dennis, he goes, I know what's wrong. I go, I'm glad you know, because I haven't got a clue. He goes, right now you're giving these guys way too much respect. He goes, you go out there tomorrow and you fight, because I had two more matches. He goes, you go out and you fight these guys and you'll beat them. And I did that, and I won my next two matches. I ended up beating the guy at the World Cup. But the key to me is, at that point in my career, Coach Chandler didn't come into my room that night. I don't know if I would have started winning. In 1993 at the World Championships, I believe they were in Stockholm or somewhere in Sweden. I ended up losing to the Cuban, but I remember coming off the mat in 1993 and thinking, I shouldn't have lost. I didn't give it everything I had. I was trying to win in the last minute. And I just said, I'm never gonna feel this feeling again. I said, I gotta work harder and get better. And that was a big turning point, because up to that point I was just trying to hopefully win. And then I made a big change. Got people over from overseas to help train with me. One of the significant guys in my training was Ivanov here in the United States. He brought him over. He had great intensity, and that's why I loved having him in my room. To me, it was important to have different partners. I didn't like to wrestle every day with the guys that I had to compete against. I trained in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and it was Johnny Johnson and Marty Lloyd that let me come in a Stevens Point room, and they'd help me get college kids to train with me during the spring and summer. They encouraged their college kids to work with me when I didn't have partners. But there were some good times when I won the World Championships in '95. I was training with Brandon Paulson all the time, good friend of mine, and training with him. I won the Worlds in '95. I remember before the finals match, I'm warming up with Brandon, and I tell him, I said, "You gut wrench me, I'm going to try going, I want to work on going hand to hand." And in that match, I ended up going hand to hand twice, and that's what won me the world title. He was a great training partner of mine and great friend, and it was kind of weird. We both ended up winning the Olympic silver medal the next year. I think him being able to see the World Championships as a partner and get the feel helped him out at the Olympic Games, so I'm sure he wasn't as nervous as he would have been if he hadn't gone. And then in 2004, one of the matches that I'll remember for the rest of my life was the final wrestle-off at the Olympic trials between Brandon and me, best 2 out of 3. We ended up going into double overtime. We both had a lot of good attacks on each other. Nobody could score. Finally, at 16 minutes and 54 seconds, I think I got the deciding takedown. And I just remember celebrating because I was so excited. And then I get done celebrating a little bit, and I look over at Brandon on the mat, and I felt bad. It's weird to have two emotions. Emotion of yeah, I just did it. I made my 3rd Olympic team, and then emotion of seeing a guy that you trained and that helped you win Olympic medal and World Championship, seeing him not going to be able to wrestle. You know, I trained with, I started training with Terry Brands and right after the 1996 Olympics. He was intense, and I think that's kind of why we ended up finding each other, because he was freestyle, I was Greco. I knew he knew how to hand fight, and I mean, you watch Iowa wrestling, it ain't the prettiest, but they get the job done. Terry Brands, to me, he's what wrestling's all about. He tells it like it is. He's had a big impact on me. The #1 rule that I had is I tried putting myself around the best athletes, you know, best training partners, best coaches. I apply that in everything that I do. I'd like to thank my wife, Chrissy, and thanks for everything. Thanks for believing in me all the time, and my kids for allowing me to do what I love to do. They understand why Dad's gone on a lot of trips, so thanks, kids, for understanding why I do what I do. To be inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame is an unbelievable experience for me. It's, to put it into words, hard work's finally paid off. You know, and it's not about being inducted into it, but for me, the wrestling greats, all the guys that I watched when I was little, are in the hall, and to become part of that and to have people be able to come in and see what I've done is it's a great experience.